As we've mentioned, in just a few weeks' time, world leaders will huddle in London to cobble together some sort of solution to the world's economic woes. The repercussions of that crisis are being felt worldwide and hitting some of the poorest countries hardest. In the lead-up to the G20 next week, we'll be looking at 5 continents in 5 days. We begin tonight in Africa, where, as Andrew Harding reports, the people in the Democratic Republic of Congo are feeling the brunt of the bust.
It's a slow, bruising ride to Congo's copper mines. But don't be fooled by the potholes. For the past few years, this vast, dilapidated country has actually been booming. Until now.
It's closed, like all the others.
Almost overnight, the entire mining industry has ground to a halt. Silent factories. The theme tune of the global recession. Suddenly no one wants Congo's copper. Foreign investors have cut and run.
No job.
No job?
No job.
So everyone unemployed?
In the past few weeks, 300,000 people have lost their jobs here. A show of hands.
You've all lost your jobs?
Among those struggling, Adelaide Kihoho, with a family of 9 to support. We were told the world's great powers are to blame. But it's you who's suffering. Yes, he says, I'm suffering for now. Keeping up appearances, a salute for the town's mayor. But briefing his staff, he admits that half the local economy has just vanished and he's worried about social unrest. We've taken a hit, a shock. It's been brutal, he says. But we've learned a lesson. We can't just rely on copper exports. We need to diversify. For now, then, Congo's vast mines lie dormant. But surely not forever. We're being flown to see a giant new development owned by a British-registered company, which still sees Africa as a solid investment.
It's been really tough.
Do you think Congo can bounce back from this?
It has to. It doesn't have an option, does it? Our business will recover and it will grow and it's going to get stronger.
Congo has survived through years of conflicts and turmoil. Somehow it'll get through this new challenge as well. Africa is an incredibly resilient place. But there's no doubt that this new economic crisis is already bringing misery to millions of people here.
Unemployed for 2 months now, Adelaide Kihoho has been forced to make some painful choices. He can no longer afford to send all his children to school. And so 7-year-old Naomi must stay at home. Her younger brother too. If you fall in Africa, you fall hard. Andrew Harding, BBC News in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
BBC News has learned that a subsidiary of a major British metals company is among those buying millions of pounds worth of minerals from an African firm, which has been named in a United Nations report. The minerals used in the manufacture of mobile phones and other electronic equipment come from mines in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, an area which is controlled by militias and by the army. They've been blamed for millions of rapes, killings and mass displacements in Congo in recent years. Now, the business isn't illegal, but there are fears that the trade could be inadvertently fueling the conflict in that region. From Congo, our Southern Africa correspondent Karen Allen has sent us this special report.
Tucked away in the thick forests of South Kivu, we spot mines. Mines that produce millions of pounds worth of minerals that prop up the international electronics industry thousands of miles away from here. We set out to discover the human cost of this trade by motorbike, the only way to reach the remote mining areas. It's difficult terrain, few foreigners come this far. Eventually we come to a pit where men dig for coltan and cassiterite, the vital ingredients for mobile phones. But instead of keeping what they find, They're at the mercy of the men with guns, who plunder the country's riches, whilst these men earn less than £1 a day.
This is the harsh and humid reality of how minerals destined for mobile phones are mined here in Congo. Many of these areas are in the hands of armed groups. They tax the local mining population and control the transit routes. Then they use the revenues to buy weapons.
Simon, a schoolteacher by training, relies on mining to survive. But he's had to hand over much of what he digs to a predatory militia, which up until recently controlled the riches here. They come to the village, take whatever they want, even rape our women, tax us and demand some of the minerals we find. And there's nowhere you can go to complain. The men are astonished when we explain the rocks they extract from the ground end up in mobile phones. Back on the road we come across the Congolese army, now in charge of this mining area as part of a major operation to flush out armed groups. The commander tells us people are content, but on camera we catch his men at this checkpoint demanding illegal payments, just like the militia.
People carrying minerals must pay taxes here to those soldiers before they cross the bridges.
These are army, this is Congolese army. They're behaving in exactly the same way as the rebels.
In the area where there is minerals, you cannot distinguish who is for the national army, who is a rebel. All of them would like to grasp money.
In town, the minerals are pounded into a powder, then weighed before they're flown out. At the airstrip, I counted 200 bags. Their value at least £30,000. And this is just one delivery on one day in a tiny part of this vast country. I went to find the owner of this company. It exports minerals to a subsidiary of British metals giant AMC. He didn't want to speak to us. A UN report named Panju as sourcing supplies from militarised mines. It isn't illegal, but is it ethical? Official government documents obtained by the BBC show that the company Panju continues to supply millions of dollars worth of coltan and cassiterite to the Thailand-based subsidiary of British firm AMC. AMC declined to be interviewed, but in a statement said, "We are accelerating the due diligence process so that we can introduce a fully auditable supply chain as soon as possible." But they admitted that at the moment we do not have representation on the ground in DRC and are not in a position to independently verify or contradict Panju's representations. 1.8 billion mobile phones are sold around the world. Now international firms thousands of miles from here are under pressure to send a clear message that business links to Congo's bloody conflict will not be tolerated. Karen Allen, BBC News, Eastern Congo.
Their instruments are made from scrap and the core of the band play in wheelchairs. But none of this has stopped the musical talents of staff Benda Balili from reaching the world. The Congolese street musicians have won international acclaim for their songs. They carry social messages like encouraging people to vote or getting vaccinated against polio, the disease which left many of them handicapped. But in the process, they've also produced some really great tunes. Tom Burridge went to hear them play in London.
Whether it's a chest of drawers turned into a drum kit, or a tin can with a piece of wire, their instruments, like their success, have been self-made. Born in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, a country where crippling diseases which no longer trouble the West still take their toll. 5 of the band are in wheelchairs. As children, they suffered from polio. Like the noise made by a tin can and a piece of wire, their story is amazing. It's one of success against all adversity. In the war-torn Democratic Republic of Congo, disabled people get little or no help from the state. Last year they were named Best Band at the Womack's World Music Awards, and their manager has high hopes.
They deserve at least the same success as Buena Vista Social Club, for example.
So Africa's answer to Buena Vista, or maybe just inspiration, that wherever, whenever and whoever you are, anything is possible. Tom Burridge, BBC News, at the Barbican in London.
The staff bend the Balili there, sharing their music with the rest of the world.